Hello, Alan here. Firstly, a disclaimer. In the English-speaking Gunpla and scale modelling sphere, my opinions and way of doing things is unorthodox and against trends and popular opinions, especially by large creators, communities. This topic is controversial and based off observations and research about the state of the industry and hobby, which I'm finally convinced is in a form of downfall, and needed to experience it for myself from the source for the love of this channel and the continuation of my business and projects. That and a pleasant holiday. Including this trip, I have visited Japan 4 times, visited the important hobby sites each time and covered it, documented it in videos extensively from 2013 till now. Post-2020 pandemic, political, media and financial landscape has changed drastically. AI and social media content mills Japan quite heavily with misinformation, and hobby space is turning into a hustle with scalping and the need of turning a profit artificially rising price of things like Pokemon cards. Economically, Japan and the yen is going through inflation, political instability with the workforce, immigration, tourism putting luxury goods and hobby items in hyperinflation. 2018, the Shizuoka Hobby Show at a conference by Tamiya claiming, with a market boom and no innovation, the industry will turn more to East Asia. Enhancing the crisis on the Gunpla medium side, director Kazuya Tsukamaki predicted Gundam will not survive another 10 years. Earlier, Bandai has reported record profits, the construction of new factories, and an increase in hike of prices, with supply and market shortfalls cracking down on scalping in Japan and shipping. Lastly and sensationally, Yoshikuni Tomino, the creator of Gundam, distancing himself, claiming the franchise is more so for prioritizing profit and selling of merchandise over storytelling and art. To be fair, he's been constantly critical of politics and the anime industry for a Monster a Week series that is a long commercial to sell toys and models. With discourse online and suppliers running lean in my country, I was keen to find out for myself. Bandai used to be known for flooding and oversaturating the market with supply. Most stores were well stocked and sold below retail. Lots of displays, hobby space, communities, and a visual spectacle worth the flight ticket. However, this trip was very different for me. On a budget airline via Taipei, I stayed in Osaka from the end of October and the first week of November 2025, situated between Shinomiya and Shinsekai, a more rustic and working class area with cheap hostels, with a cultural priority for personal expression and individuality, breaking the mold from typical Japanese hive mind way of culture and doing things. Very counterculture. More importantly, it's central to travel everywhere from Nara to Kyoto and Kobe, so I can hit all of the important hobby areas. Being a quick budget trip, I'll be avoiding Tokyo and the likes of Akihabara and Nakano Broadway, plus Odaiba City Gundam Front. I'm recovering burnout from work and extensive shifts without break or holiday, while conducting the market research I need to do and picking up some items for resale back at the shop. Total budget of $3,000 Australian. Think Canadian dollar. First disappointing observation. Many displays in independent hobby shops that I would frequently visit were closed or long out of business, leaving the large chains behind. There was also a lack of hobby spaces and communities. Build paint hire booths, tables for card gaming shops, airsoft ranges, the lot. Still found public displays of novelty and art. Reliable outlets include Yodobashi camera, still a very large hobby area though sized down. Bandai and Gunpla is not as overly dominating and a larger share of different brands and genres. With Bandai's 20% increase in prices, their newer releases are far more expensive and older legacy kits like Glue Together and 10-20-year-old models are not as available if they can be found. Built and painted model displays seem to be the same as 5 years ago. Second-hand stores such as Mandarake, especially Umeda Grand Chaos, not far from Osaka Station, is a must-see store where people sell kits, toys, and can be purchased from a multi-story building. Standards and prices have changed where box quality or damaged items are far more expensive, and almost all model kits are sold well beyond retail. Every major city will have a hobby outlet or cluster of stores. Sometimes just a very minor presence such as Nara. I was just there to feed the deer. These are all easily found in the central districts and can be discovered with a Google search via Google Maps. I did visit a second-hand mixed store. Kyoto is a more major and niche area, very rich in boutique stores and specialised in hobby railway and the more traditional aspects of the hobby. Their Yodobashi camera outlet is always worthwhile to check out. Rich in tools and military kits, but feel Osaka's a bit stronger at the moment. Sadly, Kyoto is overly cluttered with tourism and has a very poor public transport system, making it difficult to visit all the scattered, independent and interesting stores. One of my favourite is heading out to Kobe. Sannomiya Station, San Plaza, is a much larger and improved nakano, with everything indoors within a couple of levels. An entire, slightly aged and run down hobby Akihabara-like experience, with all the expected businesses, hobbies and interests, with a couple of independent hobby stalls still just holding on. And a decently sized Mandarake, where I always find a kit here, and an awesome 100 yen assortment of bins to dig through. Due to being less popular, there is less foot traffic and lower prices. Probably one of the strongest yellow submarines, not much in the way of spare parts, good kit range, okay prices, and a few built and painted examples. Out of the junk second-hand traders, my favourite of them all is Volks, a premium hobby shop. Originally a garage kit manufacturer brand that still has a small presence, still encompasses the finer aspects of the hobby with more upper end and challenging brands and subject matters with interesting niche aftermarket subjects. You'll see plenty of tools and tonnage of little guides and tutorials on compatibilities of paints and how to achieve certain finishes or looks. Many foreign medians and kits, and a fantastic display of ball jointed dolls. A lot of built and painted models, many recycled, but a few new specimens. Prices are a little higher here, but you'll find what you're exactly looking for, and I don't mind spending. Visiting one makes an overseas trip worthwhile and just as strong as my first Japan trip. No complaints with Volks. Concluding with the final place I enjoy visiting the most, Nipponbashi Denden Town, not far from Shinsekai, about 30-minute walk from my hotel. Sadly, a little rundown, a lot of the old vibrant signs and banners have torn down and faded, and more hobby space consumed by trading card game stores. Still excited to be here. A bit touristy, a lot of Sega and Crane game figures sold around 2,000 to 6,000 yen. But scratching a little deeper from the surface, I found plenty of junk and independent resellers selling worn and unusual goods well below market, with a ton of scratch, dent, damaged, mothball and forgotten lost media, from kits to toys among the alleys and back ends. Standouts like Jungle. Glass case stores you do have careful, as the prices are set by the sellers, who rent the case and not the shop. The Mandarake was huge and very chaotic. On a couple of floors, the hobby section occupied a third of the floor. Some very old treasures, some tens of thousands of yen. Disappointing, and the trend does extend a few stores. Built models at various conditions are at or beyond retail. SDs, high grade, out of production, 1,000 to 2,000 yen. Further cementing the disappearance of legacy kits. For years, Yellow Submarine has jumped on greater trends and been doing trading card games for a long time. They still have a little foothold and display nice kits in this store on a couple of floors. Some variety differing from other chains. Does not really offer or do anything better than the bigger chains. The Volks, as usual, is an absolute powerhouse, though its independent garage kits is shrinking, and the floors where they have glass cabinets for hire is expanding, shrinking the hobby areas. A couple of floors for exclusive toys, and a few floors for models. They have a lot of exclusives like Plum and 5-Star Story, with a ton of displays that are beautifully handmade, well lit, and behind glass cabinets. One for figures, fantasy and sci-fi mecha, one for military and normal subjects, and another for everything else, with a demonstration booth with a massive focus on medium tools, paints, with many goods imported. Few production models and demonstrations on show. A little bit of fun, silly novelty. Premium, not budget. You're not going to save money, but love it and always buy. The top floor is reserved for events and ball jointed dolls. Joshin Super Kids Land has got to be the crown jewel shopping experience for model building and Plamo in Denden Town. With several floors, everything from hobby goods, built and painted examples, and a theme bottom Gundam. Checkout points of sale. Prices are extremely reasonable and probably one of the biggest ranges of model kits in all of Japan. It has recently downsized and used to be across two buildings with a very large Gundam draping one of them at almost real size. Floors include a Gundam level, a science fiction anime mecha level, a couple of levels for military and other scale models, one level just for Tamiya World with their entire range of tools, paints and kits, with slot cars, finishing off with more unusual subjects and model railway, terrain diorama, Woody Joe, wooden aircraft and ship models. I do very much enjoy this place. They insist on duty-free discount. The staff here and Volks really go up and beyond. It's a very good competitor as a department store to Yodobashi camera. But with anything, they are limited by the market and what they're able to stock from the manufacturers. A few other smaller players and aspect I didn't mention, including the Kotobukiya store, as it would drag the video out too much. I'm not suggesting any ill will or negativity towards Japan and its hobby community, but more a criticism of where markets and the trend of over consumption, speculating and scalping can ruin a hobby in the name for a quick profit for a few. I really enjoyed the trip and it was the inspiration and break I really needed to return to my workshop and get back to my activities. I collected enough content and made a few videos on this trip. First was a shorts from Taiwan Taipei Airport of the Peely Thunderbolt Fantasy Puppet Show. The dolls were on display and resembled scale modelling and BJD techniques. Near the end of my trip, I also attended the Osaka Hobby Fest at Intex Osaka, presenting a full event review, which will be the next upload. 10 to 15 years ago, Plamo was far more baked into the retail and general Japanese holiday experience, with small 200 to 800 yen kits being found everywhere from convenience stores, supermarkets to electrical stores. These are almost all gone, though you can buy this moulding clay turd with extra arms and legs, kind of like a Mr. Potato Head. It sort of packages and drums up everything neatly. Returning veterans going for another holiday post-pandemic may feel the same or have completely different views. If you're out to purchase models, the internet's always an excellent start, though is also the reason why brick and mortar stores are on the decline and hobby shows are becoming a thing of the past. On the two faces of the same coin, scalping is an issue of limited and exclusive models being purchased and sold to the highest bidder. On the other hand, individuals are collecting as many models as they can and selling it at the smallest margin possible for higher volume profits or even making a loss. On each end, making it very difficult to run a business, especially the chaotic nature of wholesale and supply, importing, exporting, manufacturers attempting to assess what project is worth investing a ton of tooling and manufacturing run. It's a complex topic. I'm very conflicted about it and don't have a clear conclusion, just pretty much what I've observed and experienced. If you're new to the hobby, still definitely visit Japan, go kit shopping and check out everything. Avoid buying stuff cheap that you could already get at home and look for something that's more unavailable, old or very special. Funny enough, it was the same advice I gave during my first video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, stay tuned for further content and we'll catch you guys next time. See you later.